I was sitting beside my wife's hospital bed, holding her hand like I had every single day for the past 3 years, when she spoke. Not opened her eyes, not moved, just spoke. I never stopped loving you. Her voice was barely a whisper, hoarse from years of silence, but I heard it clearly. My wife Emma had been in a coma for 3 years, complete unresponsiveness. The doctor said she couldn't hear us, couldn't process anything, that her brain activity was minimal at best, and yet she'd just spoken. Clear words, a complete sentence. But here's what made my blood run cold. The words she said. I never stopped loving you. Never stopped. Past tense, like she had stopped at some point. Like there was a time when she didn't love me. We'd been married for 15 years. We'd never separated, never talked about divorce. We were happy, weren't we? I pressed the call button frantically. Nurses rushed in. Dr. Patterson arrived within minutes. She spoke, I said, my voice shaking. Emma spoke. She said words, but when they examined her, nothing had changed. Her eyes remained closed. Her body remained still. The monitors showed the same minimal brain activity they'd shown for 3 years. Mr. Chen, patients in vegetative states sometimes vocalize, Dr. Patterson explained. Random sounds. It doesn't mean consciousness. It wasn't random. She said a complete sentence. What did she say? I hesitated. She said, I never stopped loving you. The doctor made a note in her chart. That could be a memory fragment. The brain sometimes releases stored phrases during certain sleep cycles. But I knew what I'd heard, and I knew it meant something. Before I continue this story, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and subscribe if you believe that some mysteries take years to solve. Let me explain how my wife ended up in a coma, and why her words haunted me so deeply. 3 years ago, Emma was 39 years old, a successful architect, beautiful, intelligent, full of life. We had 2 children, Lily, who was 12, and Marcus, who was 10. Life was good, or so I thought. That October evening, Emma said she was going to meet a client about a new project. A restaurant renovation downtown. I'll be home by 9, she said, kissing me goodbye. Can you help Marcus with his science project? Of course. Drive safe. Those were the last normal words we ever exchanged. At 8:47 p.m., my phone rang. An unknown number. Is this David Chen? Yes? This is County General Hospital. Your wife, Emma Chen, was brought in by ambulance. There's been an accident. You need to come immediately. The drive to the hospital is a blur in my memory. I called my neighbor to stay with the kids. I broke every speed limit. I prayed to gods I didn't believe in. When I arrived, a doctor met me in the emergency room. Your wife's car was hit by a drunk driver. T-bone collision. The impact was severe. She has a traumatic brain injury. She's in surgery now. Is she going to be okay? The doctor's face told me everything before his words did. We're doing everything we can. Emma survived the surgery, but she never woke up. The drunk driver, a 52-year-old man named Gerald Morrison, had run a red light going 60 miles per hour. He walked away with minor injuries. Emma's brain swelled from the impact. She slipped into a coma. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The doctor said the first 3 months were critical. If she didn't wake up by then, the chances of recovery dropped dramatically. She didn't wake up. At 6 months, they moved her from ICU to a long-term care facility. At 1 year, they suggested I consider removing life support. I refused. As long as Emma's heart was beating, as long as there was any brain activity at all, I wouldn't give up. Lily and Marcus visited regularly at first, but it was hard on them, seeing their mother like that, still, silent, gone but not gone. When is Mom coming home? Marcus asked me over and over in that first year. Soon, I lied. Soon. But soon never came. And eventually the kids stopped asking. After Emma spoke those words, I couldn't let it go. I never stopped loving you. I went home that night and couldn't sleep. I kept replaying our last few months together before the accident, looking for signs, looking for meaning. Had she been unhappy? Had there been problems I'd missed? I got out of bed at 2 a.m. and went to our home office. Emma's desk was exactly as she'd left it 3 years ago. I'd been unable to touch her things, unable to pack them away. I opened her laptop. It still turned on, though the battery was long dead. I plugged it in and waited for it to boot up. Emma's email account opened automatically. Thousands of unread messages over 3 years. But I scrolled back to October 3 years ago, the month of the accident. I found work emails. Client communications, nothing unusual. Then I saw an email that made me pause. From someone named Jay Morrison. The subject line, "We need to talk." I opened it. "Emma, I know you're avoiding me, but we can't keep ignoring this. We need to make a decision. I love you, and I think you love me too. But we can't keep living in this limbo. Meet me Thursday at our usual place, please." The email was dated 3 days before the accident. Jay Morrison, the same last name as Gerald Morrison, the drunk driver. My hands were shaking as I searched for more emails from Jay Morrison. I found dozens, going back 6 months before the accident. They started professional, business discussions about a project. Then they became more personal. Lunch meetings, coffee, inside jokes. Then, 2 months before the accident, this. "Last night was incredible. I've never felt this way about anyone. I know this is complicated. I know you're married, but Emma, I can't stop thinking about you." And Emma's response, "I can't stop thinking about you either. But we need to be careful. David can't know, not yet. Not until I figure out how to tell him." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My wife had been having an affair with someone named Jay Morrison. I didn't sleep that night. I read every email, every message, piecing together my wife's secret life. Jay Morrison was James Morrison, Gerald Morrison's son. He was 38, 3 years younger than Emma, an engineer. They'd met when Emma was designing a building and James was consulting on the structural engineering. The emails painted a picture of two people falling in love, meeting in secret, planning a future together, and Emma, my wife of 15 years, preparing to leave me. But she'd never gotten the chance. The accident happened first, and the man who hit her, James's father, Gerald, was it really an accident? Or was there more to the story? I had to know. The next morning, I went to the public library and searched for James Morrison in the local area. I found him easily. He still lived in the city. He worked for a structural engineering firm downtown. I found his office address and drove there. I didn't have a plan. I just needed to see him, to confront the man my wife had been planning to leave me for. James Morrison's office was in a modern glass building. I asked the receptionist for him. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but tell him it's about Emma Chen. He'll see me." 5 minutes later, a man came out to the lobby. He was tall, athletic, with dark hair going gray at the temples. He looked tired, haunted. "You're David," he said. It wasn't a question. "We need to talk." He nodded and led me to a conference room. We sat across from each other, two men connected by the same woman. "You know who I am," I said. "I know. I've known since the accident. I've wanted to reach out, but I didn't know how. What could I possibly say?" "You could start with the truth. Were you sleeping with my wife?" He flinched. "Yes, for 4 months before the accident. I'm sorry. That's inadequate, but I am sorry. Was she going to leave me?" "For you?" James looked away. We'd talked about it. But Emma was conflicted. She loved you. She loved your children. She didn't want to hurt anyone. But she also had feelings for me. "And the accident?" "Your father was the drunk driver. Was that really an accident?" His head snapped up. "What? You think my father—" "No, God number. My father is an alcoholic. He's been drinking and driving for years. I've begged him to stop. Emma's accident, it destroyed him. Destroyed our whole family." "Where is he now?" "Prison. He's serving 8 years for vehicular assault. He tried to kill himself twice before the trial. He's a broken man." "Good," I said bitterly. James was quiet for a moment. Then he asked the question I'd been dreading. "How is Emma?" "She's in a coma. She's been in a coma for 3 years. I know. I've been following her case. I've wanted to visit, but I didn't think I had the right. You don't. I loved her, James said quietly. I still love her. Not a day goes by that I don't think about her, about what we could have been. She spoke yesterday, I said. I don't know why I told him. Maybe I wanted to hurt him. For the first time in 3 years, she spoke. His face transformed. Hope. Desperate hope. She's waking up? No, the doctors say it was just random vocalization. But she said words, a sentence. What did she say? I looked at this man, this stranger who'd stolen my wife's heart, and I told him. She said, I never stopped loving you. James went completely still. The color drained from his face. When did she say this? Yesterday afternoon, around 3 p.m. Why? He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then showed me the screen. It was a calendar. October 15th, 3 years ago, 3 p.m. That's the time Emma and I were supposed to meet, he said. Our last meeting before she was going to tell you everything. We'd planned it for 3 o'clock at a cafe downtown, but she never showed up, because the accident happened at 2:45. My mind was reeling. You think she was saying that to you? After 3 years in a coma, at the exact time you were supposed to meet, she said those words? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe. He trailed off. Maybe what? Maybe she was saying it to you. Maybe in whatever state she's in, she's trying to tell you that despite everything, despite what happened with me, she never stopped loving you. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream, but I also wanted to understand. Tell me everything, I said. I need to know. What was she going to tell me? James took a deep breath. Emma loved you. She told me that constantly. She said you were a good man, a good father, that you'd been together since college. But she said something had changed, that you'd grown apart, that you were roommates more than partners. It hurt to hear, but I couldn't deny it. Our marriage had been comfortable, safe, but passionate, exciting, not for years. She felt guilty every day, James continued. She cried about what this would do to Lily and Marcus. She didn't want to hurt you, but she also couldn't keep living a lie. She said she felt like she was drowning in a life that was supposed to make her happy but didn't. So she was definitely leaving me. No, that's just it. She was conflicted until the very end. The meeting we'd planned, the one she never made it to, it wasn't to plan our future together. It was to end things with me. I stared at him. What? She called me the morning of the accident. She said she'd made a decision, that she loved me, but she loved her family more, that she couldn't break up her children's home for a relationship that might not last. She was ending it. That's what she was going to tell me at 3 p.m. But the emails, the ones from days before, you said you needed to talk, that you couldn't keep living in limbo. Those were from me pushing her to make a choice. I wanted her to leave you. I was in love with her. But Emma, she chose you. She chose her family. I felt like the world had tilted on its axis. So when she said, I never stopped loving you, maybe she meant you, James finished. Maybe in some part of her brain, she's still living that day. The day she chose you. And she's trying to tell you. I left James's office in a daze. Everything I'd thought I knew about that day, about Emma's intentions, had been wrong. She hadn't been going to meet her lover. She'd been going to end it. She'd been coming home to me. And then she'd been hit by a drunk driver, James's father, the father of the man she'd just rejected. The irony was crushing. I drove back to the care facility, back to Emma's room. She looked the same as always, peaceful, still, her chest rising and falling with mechanical precision from the ventilator, feeding tubes, monitoring equipment. This had been her entire world for 3 years. I took her hand. Emma, if you can hear me, I need you to know something. I know about James. I know what happened. And I forgive you. I forgive you because I wasn't the husband you needed. I got comfortable. I stopped trying. I let our marriage become routine. No response. Just the steady beep of the heart monitor. But I also need you to know that I've never stopped loving you either. Not for one day. Not for 1 second. These 3 years have been hell, but I've been here every day because I can't imagine a world without you in it. I stayed until visiting hours ended. Then I drove home to our empty house. Lily was away at college now. Marcus lived with my parents during the week because I spent so much time at the hospital. That night, my phone rang at 2:37 a.m. The care facility. "Mr. Chen, you need to come in. Emma's vitals have changed." "Changed how?" "Her brain activity has increased." "Significantly. Dr. Patterson is on her way." I made it to the hospital in 12 minutes. Dr. Patterson was already in Emma's room, reviewing scans. "This is remarkable," she said. "Emma's brain activity has increased by over 400% in the last 6 hours. She's showing responses to stimuli. Her eyes are moving under her lids. This is consciousness emerging." "Is she waking up?" "I can't say for certain. But this is the most activity we've seen in 3 years. Whatever's happening, it's significant." I sat by Emma's bed, held her hand, and waited. At 4:22 a.m., her eyes opened. Emma's eyes were unfocused at first, confused. She looked around the room like she didn't understand where she was. Then her eyes found mine. "David?" Her voice was a whisper, rough from years of disuse. "I'm here. I'm right here. What happened? Where am I?" "You're in a hospital. You were in an accident. You've been asleep for a while." "How long?" Dr. Patterson stepped forward. "Emma, my name is Dr. Patterson. You've been in a coma for 3 years. You were in a car accident. Do you remember anything about that day?" Emma's face contorted with confusion. 3 years? That can't be." "What do you remember?" I asked gently. "I remember I was driving. I was going somewhere. Her eyes suddenly focused. Sharp, clear. "I was going to meet James. To end it. I'd decided. I was going to tell him it was over." "You were," I confirmed. "But you never made it there. A drunk driver hit your car." Tears started streaming down Emma's face. 3 years? "Lily and Marcus, where are they? Are they okay?" "They're okay. They're grown up now, but they're okay." "I'm so sorry," Emma sobbed. "I'm so sorry, David." "About James, about everything. I was going to end it. I chose you. I chose our family." "I know. James told me." Her eyes went wide. "You talked to James?" "Yesterday, after you spoke in your sleep." "I spoke?" "You said, 'I never stopped loving you.' The doctors thought it was random, but it was at the exact time you were supposed to meet James 3 years ago." Emma was quiet for a long moment. "I don't remember saying that. But I do remember. I remember being stuck somewhere, in darkness, and I could hear voices sometimes. Your voice. You were always there, always talking to me, reading to me, telling me about the kids. You could hear me? Not clearly. But I knew you were there, and I kept trying to tell you that I'd chosen you, that I loved you. Maybe that's what finally came out." Emma's recovery was slow but steady. Physical therapy to learn to walk again, speech therapy, occupational therapy. Her body had to relearn everything after 3 years of stillness, but her mind was intact, sharp, and determined. She told me everything about her affair with James, how it started innocently, how it grew into something neither of them planned, how she'd felt guilty every single day. "I was lost," she admitted one afternoon during a therapy session. "Our marriage had become so routine. We were good parents, good roommates, but we weren't partners anymore. We weren't lovers. And James made me feel seen again, desired, like I was more than just a mother and a wife. I'm sorry," I said. "I'm sorry I made you feel that way. It wasn't just you. I stopped trying too. We both did. We got comfortable." "Can we fix it?" I asked. "Can we get back what we lost?" Emma took my hand. "I think we can build something better. We've both changed. You spent 3 years sitting by my bed, reading to me, fighting for me. That's not routine. That's love, real love. And James? James was what I needed at that moment to realize what I already had. You. our family, a life we'd built together. He was a wake-up call, and almost a fatal one. 3 months after Emma woke up, James came to visit. Emma had asked to see him, to have closure. I wasn't sure I wanted to be there for it, but Emma insisted. I need you both here, to end this chapter properly. James arrived at the care facility where Emma was still doing rehabilitation. He looked older, more tired. When he saw Emma awake, alive, tears ran down his face. I thought I'd never see you awake again, he said. James, I need to thank you, Emma said, and I need to say goodbye properly. Thank you for what? For showing me what was missing in my marriage, and for loving me enough to let me go back to it. James nodded. I wanted you to choose me, but I also wanted you to be happy, even if that meant being with David. I am happy, or I will be. David and I have a long road ahead of us. We're starting marriage counseling. We're rebuilding our relationship, but this time we're doing it right. James looked at me. Take care of her. Better than before. I will, I promised. After James left, Emma cried. Not for him, but for the life she'd almost destroyed, for the family she'd almost lost. Do you regret it? I asked. The affair? I regret hurting you. I regret putting our family at risk. But I don't regret learning what I learned. That love isn't just about comfort and routine. It's about choice. And every day, I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. It's been a year since Emma woke up from her coma. 4 years since the accident that almost killed her and destroyed our family. Emma is fully recovered physically. She walks with a slight limp, but that's the only visible reminder of her 3-year sleep. Mentally and emotionally, we're both different people. We go to marriage counseling every week. We have date nights. We talk about our feelings instead of letting them fester. Lily came home from college to see her mother awake. The reunion was beautiful and painful. Lily had lost 3 years with her mother, years she can never get back. Marcus, who's 14 now, struggles with trust. He's angry that his mother was leaving us, angry that she lied. We're working through it in family therapy. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's real, it's honest, and it's stronger than it ever was before. Last week, Emma and I went to the cafe where she was supposed to meet James 4 years ago. The meeting that never happened because of the accident. We sat at a table by the window. This is where I was going to end it with him, Emma said, where I was going to tell him I'd chosen you. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd made it here that day? If the accident never happened? Every day. Maybe I would have ended it with James and we would have gone on like before, comfortable but distant. Or maybe I would have lost my nerve and the affair would have continued. We'll never know. Are you glad you woke up? Emma took my hand. I'm glad I got a second chance. Not many people do. I died, David. For 3 years I was effectively dead. And somehow I came back. I came back to you, to our family. That's not luck. That's fate. I'm 42 years old. My wife is 43. We've been married for 19 years, though 3 of those years she was in a coma. People ask me how I stayed faithful to her during those 3 years, how I visited every day, how I didn't give up. The truth is, I didn't have a choice. Love isn't something you can turn off like a switch. Even when I found out about her affair, even when I was angry and hurt, I still loved her. And that's the lesson I learned from all of this, that love is a choice. Every single day you choose to love someone or you don't. Emma chose to end her affair and come back to me. I chose to forgive her and rebuild our marriage. Neither choice was easy, but they were the right choices. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, second chances are rare. When you get one, don't waste it.